All right, what is up, YouTube? I am Cosmic Fro, and today I am doing my final year one tier list for Mortal Kombat 1. Now, it's been a long journey, lots of different balance changes and adjustments, and lots of things we had to endure as a community, but we made it to the end of year one, and we're going into year two with a new meta. There's a lot of different things in Mortal Kombat 1 currently, lots of strong situations with a lot of the cast, and we're going to talk about a lot of that here. Now, this will be a base roster and cameo tier list. We're going to be talking about both. We do see the year 2 DLC characters at the end here, and I will predict where each of those are going to go at the end of the video. But if you guys do enjoy this tier list, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We're going to start with the ninjas that started us in the story mode, and we'll sort of go down the list here. So to start the tier list, we're going to talk about Scorpion. So I think Scorpion is extremely strong at the moment. I really have always thought this character was strong, able to convert most buttons for high damage in a lot of situations. One of the strongest jump kicks in the game that can convert into spear. So very threatening jump. Now you can do back 3 and cancel that into cameo, or cancel back 3 into the meter burn teleport for a conversion. So that was a really strong buff for Scorpion, especially Scorpion Farah. As of recording this video, it is August 21st, and they did just nerf Farah for 100 health, and they made the low a little bit more punishable. But that doesn't change how strong that mix is with Scorpion still. It doesn't change the damage that Scorpion gets off of those conversions. And so I think Scorpion is still, one of the strongest characters in the current Farah meta, and has always just been a fundamentally strong character. We saw, a Scorpion in Final Combat perform extremely well. And so, even before the buffs, Scorpion was really strong, but I think as this patch has moved along, we've sort of seen what Scorpion is really capable of with the buffs. And I'm going to go ahead and throw Scorpion up in S tier. So moving on to Sub-Zero. I main Sub-Zero in MK1. I love the character, and I can tell you a lot about him, but there's a lot of downplay, right? We can't deny there's a lot of downplay from there's downplay for every character, right? But Sub-Zero is one of those characters that, isn't completely useless, right? Has a lot of defensive options with clone. You can air clone to negate a lot of playstyles like, Nitara, or, if you predict you want to block the sky and the ground, you can sort of throw that air clone at that perfect distance to just sort of keep them from advancing. They just can't. So then you can get your enforcer zoning game with, say, Sonya, or, other cameos like Kung Lao, and make it really strong. He also got some buffs in the most recent patch where he is able to get certain conversions off the non meter spending deadly vapors, which is his low full screen move. That didn't really do too much for him. The biggest buff was that the hitbox to his clone was increased. The hurt region on it was increased, so that you're able to catch more people on it, and it also converts off of certain buttons in the corner. So forward 1-2, his mid advancing string, the 15 frame mid, right, that into clone freezes them for meterless conversions. Stand 1-2, his poke string is also comboable in the corner with clone. And when you pair that up with Sonya, Kung Lao, you're able to loop setups in the corner. You can set up safe clone, and they can't really escape that situation. Combine that with the fact that you can now throw them into clone without having to spend bar on clone, because the hurt region is increased. That is just extremely strong for his strike throw game, and that safe clone setup in the corner. But he also is just a really good mid projectile that knocks down, right? So he's a really good defensive character. Armored Slide, one of the best armor moves in the game, and can combo. It's just one of those ignorant moves that Sub-Zero has and can throw out there. So, making their approach a little bit more thoughtful as he's sort of harassing with Sonya Ring and his other projectiles. If you're playing Sub-Zero fundamentally, you're playing him with Sub-Zero cameo, or you're playing him with Sonya or Kung Lao, right? he's a very strong character. If you're playing him with Chameleon, he's still a very, very strong character. With that cameo, it's just not as fundamental. You know, you're going for the mix in that situation. So he's able to play with different cameos, and Darius, right? We can't underestimate that cameo either. But yeah, Sub-Zero's a strong cameo. I'm going to put him in A. I could talk about him all day to you guys, but I think Sub-Zero's a strong character, just not in the sort of S tier echelon that a lot of these characters have. He just doesn't have the damage, and you know, his reward for these situations isn't as high as some of the other characters, which I think is Sub-Zero's main problem. But otherwise, he's a very, very strong defensive sort of zoning character. Moving on to Smoke. Smoke's a harder one because when he's invisible, he's really, really strong. But when he's not invisible, he's got gaps in every string. His armor is extremely weak, so it's hard to really say Smoke is ever going to be S tier, right? Even A tier is little, you know, it's hard to say. He's got to get that invisibility set up, and then once it's in, you know, it's set up, he's like in between, I would say. But I'm going to put Smoke in A tier for me. Just really high damage when he gets the hit, but just gaps in every string. He has to cover it with a cameo. And like Kano, right? If you're playing Smoke, the most solid I would say is probably Kano or Goro at the moment. But in Sector, we're seeing some Sector, right? Sector's also got sort of a throw situation with Smoke that's extremely strong. But yeah, I think Smoke's really good. He's you know, he's a problem when he does get the hit and get the snowball and gets his snowball going. But you know, it's when if he's not landing the hit, if you're playing solid against the Smoke, you're playing like a character that can sort of keep him out or outrange his forward one, right? It's hard to play Smoke. So I'm going to put Smoke in A tier for now. Johnny Cage, I don't think this is debatable. Johnny Cage is just one of the strongest characters we all know, right? His 9-frame mid, being able to shimmy that poke mind game is extremely, extremely strong, right? Johnny Cage can just stuff people, right? It's insane what Johnny Cage is able to do. Fastest movement in the game, that alone isn't, you know, sort of S tier property of Johnny Cage. But when you pair that with the extremely far-reaching normals, his back 3 being extremely sort of ignorant, his jump 3 being ignorant, right? You can get safe jump setups off of the nut punch and you know, loopable situations with Cyrax cameo in the corner. Like it's really, 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 really strong. And when he has hype, right? If he has hype on that second round after, you know, setting it up with the shadow kick, by the way, one of the fastest armor moves in the game. Johnny Cage just has multiple different ways to play the game. He can play it with Farah. He can play it with Cyrax. He can play it with Kung Lao. He can play it with Kano. Johnny Cage is playing this game, right? He can play with Chameleon, as we saw in Final Combat. So Johnny Cage is playing Mortal Kombat 1 the best, right? He's playing Mortal Kombat 1 to, you know, on the highest level. We're seeing that with other characters as well. We'll talk about that later, but Johnny Cage is definitely in that top 5 range. Moving on to Sindel, right? Sindel is just like Johnny, where she's got really strong, you know, buttons. Johnny, fast movement in combination with those far-reaching strings, but Sindel's buttons, her down 3, right? Her forward advancing multi-hitting hair string, whatever that button is. Extremely, extremely strong breaks armor. Really strong zoning game. Her float, able to shimmy people when they whiff buttons. She can, you know, move that float quickly, which is another really strong property of Sindel, able to negate zoning games by just floating over them. And any hit into extremely high damage off of that jump 3 float, or off of any stray hit, right? Her forward hair, or you know, she can take her turn with that down 3 extremely, extremely easily. So yeah, Sindel, one of the strongest characters. When she does land the hit, she can put you in loopable mix situations with, say, Kung Lao, Cyrax, right? So she's has always been extremely strong. She's got really good projectiles, low full screen projectile, air projectile. She wants to throw that out, and when she meter burns the regular one, it goes through other projectiles. So she's just really strong. She's going to be in that top 5 range, similarly to Johnny Cage, right? So Sindel, really, really strong. Kitana is a demon in MK1. She is so good at that sort of shimmy game. She's got a really good forward advancing mid that stuffs the low profile moves like down 4 with a lot of characters, that being her back 2, right? She sort of throws out that mid forward advancing fan that sticks out there, and then she converts for high damage, sometimes meterless, 35%. So really good projectile game, just able to keep the opponent on their toes and wanting to advance her. And then when they sort of mess up, she can full punish that for extremely high damage. If she has Jax in the corner and she knows the setup, that's going to hit for 30%, sort of unblockable, right? So that in itself is really strong. She can play the Pharah meta. She can play Sonya and just sort of harass you and then get meterless damage with Square Wave. Play the zoning game with Sub-Zero. She's got a lot of utility. She can throw down that sort of wind trap and just harass if she has Sonya or Kung Lao, right? She has a really strong zoning game in general. 8% when that projectile hits. Really strong chip on block. S tier character. She can play the game with a lot of the cameos and does well against most of the cast. So I would say Kitana is definitely in that S tier range. Maybe not top 5, but one of the stronger characters in the game, most definitely. Now Mileena is interesting, right? I think she's just like last patch, even before Takeda release, she was her strengths were her convertibility and her strike poke game. She has the best poke in the game, over Sub-Zero tested, right? Mileena has the best poke in the game, and when you have the best poke in the game, you're able to just take your turn and make them want to press to take their turn. And when they press, you can shimmy with her mid, or catch them slipping with her her sort of auto shimmy string. And when she does get that hit with her anti-air or with the auto shimmy, or just by shimmying her opponent, random ball roll, or random counter zoning air ball roll, meter burn ball roll over anything into the air side, and all of those options, they hit for high damage. She's one of those characters that just converts for extremely high damage on any touch, and can do so efficiently. She can avoid some of the setups in the corner that a lot of characters can't. She can sort of armor with Pharah, right? If she wants to armor and then use Pharah to get out of those situations, she can. Because Pharah can jump on her back airborne and put her in a safe situation. Just overall, a really strong character, has been strong for a long time. And I would say if you're using Chameleon, right, with Mileena, you're doing the throw combos for 25%, or you're using her with Pharah in some of those situations. You can still use her with Kung Lao. You can still have, her strong zoning option and then shimmy. Best poke in the game. I think she's got enough utility and the high damage needed to be in the S tier. Her counter zoning ball roll is it goes through Sub-Zero clone. I mean, come on, like it's just really a really strong counter zoning option. If they throw a projectile, she's going to be in the air with the meter burn ball, and you just explode, right? So she's going to be S tier for me. Maybe not top 5, but in that sort of stronger character zone for Mortal Kombat 1. Lui Kang is really strong. A lot of people, right? Lui Kang had really high damage, and when Kung Lao was stronger, right? When Kung Lao was stronger, Lui Kang was definitely in that S tier, right? They couldn't jump on Lao Hat without getting hit by it, and that would lead to situations where Liu could just zone out and then enforce his strike throw game and teleport. He can still do that with Motaro. Still has a really strong game with Motaro, where he can now use Motaro off, say, Flying Dragon, the really fast projectile that he has, teleport and convert that for extremely high damage. It converts. All right, so strong zoning game now with Motaro. He also has throw combos with Motaro, so that strike throw still exists for Lui Kang, and you can still play Lao, right? It's just not as strong as it used to be. Really strong forward 2, staggerable mid that Lu's got. He's got the God button in forward 3, his kick strings, right? The armor breaking, and just stuffs pretty much every button in the game. You're still able to shimmy and land those hits and play that strike throw game with Liu that is so strong on top of his zoning game, but just gets beat out by certain matchups. certain potent matchups for him that I think take him out of that S tier that everybody sort of holds Lui to. But Lui is still, like, if you're playing Lui, like, he's still, we're going to order this tier list at the end, but he's still going to be doing so much for you in pretty much any situation. Just one of the best all-rounder characters in the game. Okay, moving on to Geras. I think Geras has a lot of down players out there that want to see Geras go up to S, but I think some of those complaints are valid. But Geras is strong, guys. That's not even a question. When Geras does land a hit with that really far-reaching mid, or just whatever mid button he wants to throw out at you, in sort of a shimmy situation, he's gonna hit you for really high damage, which is one of the properties that you need for a character to be really strong. So he's got that. He's got a really strong sweep, which can sort of zone him out. He can chip him out with Sandstorm, and when he does have 3 clocks loaded, or he meter burns for the clocks, right? And just sort of plays that harassment, sort of full screen game. You can't get to Geras. Geras is going to chip you out. And then when you do land a hit on him, he's got a 1-bar breaker that is going to recover him health for, whatever you hit him for, which is just strong. Like, if you're a good Geras player, you know how to use that mechanic. That is just one of the strongest things in the game, similar to like a breakaway, right? Where just none of that even happened. You don't punish them for it, right? But you're getting health back for that situation. Then you can just reset up the clocks. They also buffed Geras in the Takeda patch to where they made the startup of the snap, where he's got sort of that counter zoning option. They made that faster, so you're able to just play that lame game that Geras is sort of supposed to be playing more effectively. You can also you can play it with Motaro and get your plus on block staggers with Geras. Strong, sort of strike throw situations he can put you in. And when he does land the hit, it uses his time stop into Motaro. Really, really extremely high damage. He's also got a command grab. So throw that in there, and he's a strong character, okay? Yeah, some of his strings, they got gaps, and, it's hard to hit. It's hard to open the opponent up when you're up close. But if you're playing Geras correctly, that's not necessarily what you're supposed to be doing. Even though he has a command grab. So I think that's the complaint, is that what archetype is Geras? I think that's what NetherRealm wanted, is they sort of wanted it to be, up to the player. But in execution, it's hard for some players to, to play both styles at once. And so I think Geras is an A tier character. Is very potent and very strong in certain situations. And that's just, that's my opinion. We can order this later. Now, Raiden. So they got rid of Storm Cell, sort of being able to keep your turn when doing Storm Cell into a cameo. They sort of, you can still do that with Kano in a way, but it's not to the same efficiency, not to the same potency. That low meter burn lightning sort of launcher that he had is no longer safe. So Raiden just got a lot taken away from him, and he doesn't have much sauce aside from that, right? He's got his forward advancing low, he's got the overhead, and he's got some strong buttons and high damage. But just some of when he does open you up, the situations that he puts you in after the fact just aren't as strong as they used to be. And so I think Raiden, he lost a lot of sauce. We're still seeing Raiden players exploring other cameos like Sector, and seeing sort of what they can do, but it's just not the same as it was for them. And I'm glad, right? I'm glad that glue eating strategy is just out of the game entirely. So thank God for that. Okay, we're gonna sort of shove that memory in the vault. Still a strong character. When he hits you, he hits for high damage. Buff up that teleport, make it so that he's able to choose sort of like Displacer, give him some mix-up options off the teleport. I think that would be really cool to give to Raiden. Personally, that's the sauce I would want to see as sort of a Displacer player in MKX. So, but currently, I think Raiden's like B tier. Just not enough sauce for getting the hit. The situations he puts you in after the fact just aren't as strong. So yeah. So Kung Lao, I really think Kung Lao is just so strong at the moment. When you're playing Kung Lao with Sonya, you have sort of that ignorant armor option. Select into Square Wave with Sonya for 35% or not, and then you just have a safe armored move. If you're not using that, you can harass with Ring and Lao Hat, and then when they want to advance or they whiff a string, you can do the meter burn dive kick into high damage. Yeah, Kung Lao, extremely strong character at the moment. Really strong auto shimmy up close. Like when Kung Lao's up close, nothing's changed, right? He's still really strong, and is safe if they want to challenge back with the poke, right? If they don't and they block it, you're safe with the armored move. And if that hits with Sonya, or any other cameo that combos with that, he's hitting you for high damage because it doesn't scale. It doesn't really scale as hard as you'd think. So Kung Lao, just really strong strike throw game. Really good harassment game, really good hat projectile with Sonya Ring in combination and Square Wave off the armored move. You can enforce a very annoying playstyle with Kung Lao that I think is S tier. I think Kung Lao sort of counters that Pharah meta in a way where if they do any air where they puts the character airborne and then they hop Pharah on the back, he can just armor that into damage with Sonya, right? Which is insane. If he guesses wrong on the stagger and armors anyway, it's safe. So really good against this Pharah meta that's coming out. And I think as players discover that with Kung Lao, they're going to realize, yeah, he's still in that spot we thought he was in, months ago. So Kung Lao, really strong character in my opinion, and hasn't really changed much. And we'll come back and we'll order everything later. This is all, sort of unordered at the moment. Ashrah, when you're playing fundamentally strong, she's got those really long reaching buttons that strong mid into Serena or Chameleon. When you're playing Ashrah at the highest level, it's really strong. She's fundamentally strong. She's got a flash parry and dark stance, strong zoning with dark stance as well. She is strong. She's got 4 hitting armor move. That alone sort of puts her in that that range where she can just get out of those situations and then harass with her mid string or just play fundamentally strong. And when she does land the hit, it's going to be a burger. She's going to hit you for 40%, Fatal Blow, some of the best damage in the game. I think it is the best damage, Fatal Blow in the game. And overall, extremely strong character. We saw her played exceptionally in Final Combat, and I think she is still an S tier character when played at the highest level. It just, you have to play that fundamentally strong game. You don't want to take too many risks with Ashrah. And when you play her kit, the best way you can, she's definitely, an S tier character. High damage, flash parry with 4 hits of armor, long range normals, just it's sort of a random overhead you can throw out there sometimes that does hit, right? And a pretty decent, shimmy game when she's up close. And yeah, she can enforce that strike throw still. And yeah, Baraka. I think Baraka is hasn't really changed much, right? The Cyrax meta was obviously extremely strong for Baraka, and the chip damage that he was able to provide in the early stages of the year. But as the year, advanced, we saw Baraka Kano come out sort of into the meta and hasn't really shifted from that. I think Baraka Kano is the way you're going to want to play this character, to cover those strings, keep the chip going, and when he does shimmy and land the hit with those long range normals that he's got, was it the back 1 and then stand 2, right? When he does hit you with those normals, he's hitting you for 33, right? And then the snowball for chip gets going. He hits you for another 10% in chip. And yeah, you just have to sort of hold that situation. If he guesses your armor, you're dead. So it's sort of a snowball situation with Baraka, really good normals. And when he does put you in that situation, it's extremely strong. I'm going to go ahead and put Baraka sort of near the top of A tier just because, the way he has to open you up isn't as dirty. It's some of those situations are reactable and there is counterplay. to the some of the highs that he has. So that's the only reason he's going in the A tier for me. Otherwise, just one of the strongest characters in the game, no question. I think we can all agree that when Baraka's on the screen, it's kind of terrifying. They also did nerf his movement speed, so I think if they buffed his movement speed back to where it was before, he would be he would be even more of a problem than he already is right now. So Reptile is really, really cool right now. I think Reptile's the coolest he's ever been in an MK game. Just super cool, right? I don't even know like where I want to put him yet. I got to think about that for a second, but so many options with Reptile. When Reptile turns invisible, right, off of say the spit, and then you cancel the the air down back 4, which is sort of a new property that he got. He can sort of turn into this sort of translucent off the cancel, and then stand 3 tail whip, cancel that into buttons, which is really, really good. Stand 3 is just really good. You can also cancel stand 3 into Movado if you're playing Movado, which I believe to be sort of his strongest cameo at the moment. Reptile just has so much going for him. When he's invisible, he can throw that bubble projectile if they want to sort of poke and then they get hit by the bubble. He can enforce his overhead low. He's got one of the best forward advancing lows in his back 3. His back 2 being able to cancel into any sort of cameo or special move is pretty good. And he did get that sort of spitball option that he can play that zoning game stronger than he could before. He's got the God button in back 4, which also combos into Movado, and he's got a really good sort of auto shimmy in his 1-1. His forward 4-2 is also pretty good staggerable mid. And yeah, like when we talk about bubble, right? Like bubble's just a big projectile that's on the screen. And you can sort of run behind it if you meter burn it and get in and enforce that sort of game you want to play with stand 3 cancel or back 3 stagger into throw. So yeah, I think Reptile's strong. I'm gonna go ahead and put him in A tier. I think Reptile can play the game much stronger than he used to. I just it's and when he does hit you, it hits for high damage, right? Which he sort of has over Sub-Zero. But the game he wants to play to land the hit. You just have to sort of shimmy him, right? You gotta shimmy him. You gotta land that hit, and make them want to press their buttons. And then when you do hit them, they get hit for high damage. You can get your snowball going with that invisibility. So yeah, one of the most fun characters to play in the game, and at a high level can be played, and maybe even win a tournament. So Reptile's going to be an A tier for me. Shang is every character on this tier is going to be strong. I don't really need to say that for Shang. We all know what he's able to do. Pretty good zoning game with Shang. He can switch between young and old. He has the air projectile that if they're trying to shimmy you or throw a button at you, you can meter burn that air projectile and full combo them before trying to come at you. Really high damage in old form when he does hit you with the low fireball. He can sort of just keep the juggle going, and then when he's finishing the combo, he sort of pushes them full screen with the syringe, or he can meter burn it, turn into them, right? Which is one of the properties of Shang that I think is just it depends what character you're playing against, and if the other player's character, it can completely change that matchup for the other player. Then they have to switch their brain to that that wavelength. But Shang Tsung, very, very strong. Just some of the buttons have gaps in them and are stubby in some cases, but that forward advancing kick that he's gotten old is really good. A lot of people underestimate that. And his zoning game with cameos like Sonya, really, really strong. He still has a really good zoning game. His spikes in young form, where he sort of retreats, are extremely active. So if they're jumping at you, you can sort of just throw out spikes and then they'll run into that. And yeah, he's a good character, but just not enough sauce on his own without a cameo to really put him in even A tier for now. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put Shang in B tier. I think Shang might need a little help on how he's gonna open the opponent up without sort of having to shimmy them. Reptile just does that way better than Shang, right? So how do we make that zoning game for Shang even more potent than it already is, right? So Quan Chi still has the problem with his poke game, but when Quan Chi gets his armor portal up, okay, he hits you, he keeps his zoning game going, he doesn't let the opponent get close, and he sets up armor, he gets his game going. It's extremely difficult to counterplay any of that. And he sort of becomes a boss character with certain cameos. So for that reason alone, I am not gonna put Quan Chi in B tier. Right? I think if you're playing against a good Quan Chi that can keep you out from getting in, and just plays extremely strong defensively. Once they get the armor portal up, the strike throw game extremely strong. Zoning game, you can set that up with Bone Cage and make them want to jump, and then you stand 3 and you keep that going. You forward 4-4, and they're back to full screen. You keep your zoning game going. If you have Sonya cameo, you just break any sort of armor they want to do into your armor that you already have. So you set a portal full screen, or you're just keeping that going. You set a green portal. You can keep a lot of these characters out. You just have to play fundamentally strong. So I think at the highest level with the best Quan Chi players, I think Quan Chi is going to be A tier. Maybe not as strong as some of the other A tier characters in some situations. Against the rest of the cast, right? But really, really strong against other zoning characters, and is extremely potent once he gets the armor portal going. So for that alone, I think Quan Chi's still a strong pick in some matchups, and is going to sort of steamroll if he gets that armor portal going, and he's got a lot of bars to work with. He can keep that going. Nitara got some extremely scary buffs in this most recent Takeda patch. She probably got the most buffs out of any character. She's able to now, her meter burn dive kick is safe, which is the biggest one, because she can sort of play ignorant unless they up block it. So now you can do back 4 into your sort of flight and then cancel in a dive kick, meter burn, and that's safe, right? If they think that's coming, they up block, you don't go for it. There's new mind games introduced with Nitara now. She's always had one of the highest, damaging, if she lands a hit, she's got some of the highest damage in the game, as she always has. And she's so strong. She can combo off of that sort of blood suck move that she has now. I don't remember what that's called, but she can combo off that now. With Farah, a lot of her stuff is airborne, so she can just sort of call Farah at any time, and she can hit you with that safe sort of overhead, or to make gapless sort of situations, or she can just land, hit you with the command grab, overhead low, and then hit you for the high damage, say 50% off of any Farah hit. So Nitara is really, really strong at the moment. Gets beat out by some matchups, but that still doesn't deter me from putting her in the S tier now. That buff to Nitara completely changed her game to be a lot more consistent and fearsome than it was before. So Nitara players are having a lot of fun this patch. Ermac, one of the best pressure characters in the game, one of the best shimmy characters in the game. Has the strongest auto shimmy in the game that can combo into Janet for high damage. A lot of players don't play with that Janet puppet setup, but Ermac is one of the strongest with it. Float, cancel, things that he can do. He can play with a lot of cameos in the game. The only problem with Ermac, much like Sub-Zero, is that the scaling just isn't there. He doesn't have a lot of damage, which is sort of like, they thought Ermac was going to be this really strong aggro character, and to counteract that, they made his damage less, much like they thought Sub-Zero was going to be that defensive playstyle, so they lessened the damage on that. Ermac is in that similar sort of category. And when they take damage away from characters, they just aren't as strong as, you know, when they land their hit, the reward they get for it. They have to land more hits to win the game. Ermac is able to do that, right? He has really strong buttons to do so. But the opponent can still counterplay. They can still play around that in situations where they don't have to. They can take their turn, right? If the opponent has the chance to take their turn, it's just not as strong as some of the situations the S tier characters can put you in. So for that reason, I'm gonna go ahead and put Ermac like near the top of A tier. He can still play the game extremely, crazy with Janet, with Kung Lao, with Sonya. And Cyrax, you can play him with Cyrax too. Lots of things you can do with Ermac, and Mavado as well. But you just, you have to land more hits to do so, and that's why he's at the A tier level. It's just the damage, really. The only thing that's sort of making me want to put him in the S tier is he has that cloak. When he does have a lot of meter, he can put on this green cloak that makes, all the incoming damage to him, completely negated. So if he has a strong life lead and he puts that on, it's pretty much over. He can time you out. It's really hard if he makes the opponent approach him, and that's what he wants because he has good buttons for that. At the highest level, though, with some of the characters we're going to talk about, Ermac is he's going to be in A tier for now. The top, maybe he's like, if I don't know. Like we got Ashrah in S tier 2, and Ashrah and Ermac I think are like on comparable like levels of in different areas, but like in terms of strength, like I think Ermac is definitely one of those characters that can stand up to the top tiers. It's just that damage, it's just that damage. And if he doesn't get the snowball going, or the opponent lands the hit first and they get their own game plan going, especially if they're one of these characters, I don't know. It's tough to say. He plays the poke game well. He's got we'll put him at the bottom of S tier for now, okay? If it's a really good Ermac player, we'll put Ermac in the bottom of S. That feels better than top of A for me personally. Kenshi. So I'm extremely happy to announce that Kenshi Cyrax has gone bless, that's how I got sent to losers at Evo, and I'm just glad that that team is gone. No more situations where it's just guaranteed Sento. Even with Goro, right, there's a gap, so he's gotta get the hit, and when he does get the hit, it can be GG's with Sento, right? That's one of the strongest things about Kenshi. You can't knock that out of that ballpark. He's got Sub-Zero cameo as well. Just not as strong as he used to be now that he can't, do that. He can do it with Striker. He can still do it with Striker. Okay, they found their way. They got Striker, and Kenshi can still set up Sento off of those bombs in a sort of trade situation that Kenshi will win for the most part. But I think Kenshi just not as strong as he used to be. You can still do the throw combo with Cyrax. You can do the 2 bars with Cyrax, right? You get your meter up and then you throw them, and you can set up Sento off of the bomb throw. Mavado, right? You still have Kenshi with Mavado. You still have Kenshi with Striker. When he gets Sento up, he's still going to be S tier, and all he has to do that is land the hit. So he's going to be in S tier still. I'm going to put him like right around this area, right, with Ashrah, Kenshi, and Ermac. I think Kenshi's like up there, General Shao. General Shao is a character that I play Sub-Zero, and that messes up Shao Kahn. So I personally I don't think Shao is like S. Like he gets poked on, it's hard, but he can bait that. So there is a mind game to that. When he does land the hit, he gets loopable situations with Kung Lao. Yeah, he's got a really good strike throw game, good damage, stand 2, right? I know that's like the stereotypical, like, oh, you want to talk about Shao? If you say stand 2, like, don't even talk. But like, it's a god button for Shao. I'm not wrong, Really good shimmy button for Shao Kahn and stand 2, and he's one of the stronger characters when you're playing him with Kano, with Kung Lao, with Chameleon. So yeah, Shao Kahn just really really strong sort of character. If you know what's going through the opponent's head and you're gonna mix them, you land that mix, you can sort of steamroll with Shao. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and push Shao kind of where Baraka is. They're similar sort of play styles with Baraka and Shao, I would say. Baraka's just a little bit more like fundamentally like passive, where Shao's gonna get in there and make the opponent want to do something about it. It's just the energy that Shao gives off. And we've seen Shao place high. We've seen Baraka place high. So I'm gonna put Shao like right below Baraka. Reiko is a menace. Yeah, it's a command grab character. When you're playing him with Tremor, it's insane, right? He's still got the stuff he had before. He can play the game with Janet as well. Yeah, Reiko's got everything. That projectile that he's got can harass. He can use Tremor to like block a projectile and then throw his ninja stars back at the opponent. So yeah, it's just really strong. Gets around some of the other zoning characters in the game and has a strong command throw. Not much more to say. I think Reiko is extremely strong. I don't think Reiko is like mid-tier or anything near that. I'm gonna go ahead and put Reiko like at the top of A. Annoying down 4 sweep, right? If you're playing certain characters with a dive kick, you can play around that. And so I think it's just, you have that information, use that as you will. But still against most of the cast, really, 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 really strong. And yeah, if he lands the command throw, he gets his plus frames. He gets his other command throw. Right? It's just it's a really strong mind game that he can play when he's right up next to you, as is most command grab characters. And then he's got that strong he's a command grab character with like the strongest projectile in the game. So there you go. Reiko's just he is that character. So Li Mei is a strong character. She can she still has the stubby buttons. She can still throw out those projectiles and hit from full screen. She's got the 6 frame reversal, but aside from that, there's not much. She's got the damage. She's got extremely high damage, let me say. Probably some of the highest damage in the game for the resources sacrificed. Still has some stubby normals. She's got the launcher off the mid now, which is really, really good for her, the forward advancing mid, and really good plus frames. So overall, super strong character. When she's got Lantern in the sky, she negates any sort of jump game, right? Which is good against some of the other offensive characters in the game. I think she is definitely like an upper echelon character up here with, say, Baraka and Reiko. I don't know if she is S tier yet. I don't know. That's hard. We're gonna have to see. Some of the players play this character play this character. Show that reversal in action. Show how her buffs have really come into play. But I've been seeing some things, and I think she's like right around here. I think extremely strong. That's just where I'm gonna put her for now. And then we'll think on that. Tanya is the oh man, like I think Tanya is just probably the best character in the game. I don't know. Johnny's definitely like interchangeable with that. They just do different things, but Tanya's more ignorant, right? I would compare Tanya right now with Farah, right? Comparable to Aquaman in Injustice, right? Like you could just sort of be ignorant. You could throw out that meter burn, armored, spinning move into Farah for gapless, safe pressure. Not even it's pressure. It's a safe launcher if it hits. And then if it doesn't hit, it's safe on block and it did a ton of chip. And then if the opponent wants to play that poke game, she can do it again. Any button you throw, you really have to just jump over her when you think that's coming. That's like the best way to, if you do read it, that's the best circumstance. Or if she times it wrong, you can up block it, but they have to time it wrong, right? And that's really just, player error. If you're playing at the highest level of play, they're not going to do that, And it's extremely ignorant. You can still combo off that Pharaoh low. You can do the far Tanya baton into Farah and then mix that for lower overhead. Off of the air, if she doesn't go for the if you're still blocking and you respect that safe armor setup, she can go for command grab after the fact or mix overhead or low again. Tanya and Farah, it's a problem. It's a problem character for the game currently, and it's insane. Now at least Farah got the health nerf, and the low got nerfed a little bit. So when she throws that up close, it's not, but the mix is still there. So yeah, it's extremely potent and one of the strongest strategies in the game currently. Rain is we saw Rain played at Final Combat with Janet, and his ability to cancel his really far advancing mid, like what looks like a low kick, but it's a mid. That's that kick that he's got. Being able to cancel that into other strings or other cameos for extremely high damage is just so good. It gives him a cancel game that he didn't have before. It's just a much faster cancel that combos into itself. His projectile game, while not the strongest, he does have that bubble, he does have that portal, and so when they want to approach him, he can just sort of back up and then teleport to the portal, and he's on the other side. So, if you're using like Sonya or using zoning cameos like Sub-Zero, you can just sort of keep them at bay. You can freeze them and do the loopable stuff with Sub-Zero. Or you can use Janet for the throw combos and the high damage when you do hit off the cancel, which is really, really good because Raiden has really good strings. He's got the down 3 to steal his turn, strike, throw, auto shimmy, and cancel game. He's got up close intact. So Rain, high damage, high utility, really good zoning options, and really good utility with his portal as well. He's got the Kara cancel, which also combos into Janet. So taking that all into account, I think Rain is definitely an S tier character. Where are we going to put him for now? We'll just put Rain like right up here, we'll just put him in the middle for now. Havik is not as strong as some of these other characters. Still very good character in some situations. With Darius you can do some things with Havik. And with Kano, you can enforce things with Havik. But, just for the resources you're spending with Havik, right, with the 2-bar sort of unbreakable stuff you can do with the neck snap. What else? His projectile game is really good. It makes sure that he gets his mid going, and then you can, combo that into the grab string off Movado or certain, just certain things Havik can do that, other characters can. He's got one of the best mids in the game, but it's really hard to pin down like what this character is supposed to do because you really just want to land it off the mid, I guess, right? Or just keep them in that bubble pressure. But aside from that, like you just have to sort of you're playing a weaker Reptile, like that's what playing Havik feels like. And that isn't a good thing, good low string. The double low that he's got is decent. Combo that into his back forward 1, I believe it is, for the chest launcher. But yeah, his damage off of those conversions, he has to spend more bar than others, and it's not that great. So Havik is going to be at the bottom of the tier list for me personally. Takeda is interesting. Okay, so they made his armor move in the patch that came out today, right? That's why I'm making this tier list, is because we got sort of the final patch before year 2, right? So Takeda, they increased the armor by 10 frames on his armor move. So it's not the weakest armor in the game anymore, right? It is still slow, right? But that's similar to Smoke, where now he has more armor to work with there. It's not useless anymore, and that's a good thing. He also has the kunai that he would throw, right? That used to be a mid, now it's a low. So now they have to block low on this kunai, which is going to make their approach a little bit more difficult. And for the air kunai, it is also a low. So those are the buffs that Takeda got. His normals, his back 2-1, still gap, still's got a gap in it. His Rekka strings, not strong. They give the opponent their turn. But you can throw the Rekka out there to sort of catch them off guard sometimes. If you're playing that shimmy game against Takeda, don't even try it, because he's going to hit you. If he does hit you, he's going to hit you for like 45% for minimal resources. And that's sort of the demon, the factor of Takeda that makes him good, is that when they try to shimmy you and you read that one situation, it puts him in a bad situation. And then Takeda can, if he's playing Janet, you can play the strike throw game. He's got a really good auto shimmy in his 1-2. So you can play strike throw with Janet and then get that going. You can play bomb setup with Cyrax. You can play set play with that. So if they want to armor the gap, if you have the sort of setup Cyrax, I could maybe show this in a video, but it's one of the strongest things Takeda has, where you can sort of keep the pressure going when Cyrax bomb is on. You sort of negative edge that Cyrax while you're doing strings, and you move it sort of in a position where it makes those gapped situations gapless. So yeah, it's still strong. When you land a hit, it hits for a lot of damage, and that's one of the strongest things about the character. With the recent buffs, I don't think he's absolutely like the worst character in the game anymore. And he does have the damage. He's got really long range normals. It's really hard to say where I want to put this character with these most recent buffs. For now, we'll put him at the bottom of A with the most recent buffs. His armor isn't useless anymore, and he does have some tech that doesn't make him completely useless, like a lot of people are saying he is. Like, that just isn't true, right? He's gonna hit you for damage when he does hit you. He's got that back 3, he's got the auto shimmy, and he's got high damage. So those are options that are really strong when you're talking about a character. Higher damage than like a Li Mei damage is what we're talking about. So that's where Takeda's going to go. He's going to go at the bottom of A tier for now. So Peacemaker, they nerfed his some of his zoning options. His force field got nerfed. Eagly got nerfed. They can't, the Peacemaker players just can't play that same zoning game they used to safely, right? You can punish that back eagerly now with some characters, and it's it's annoying for him, but still really strong buttons. If he does land, he still hits for damage, and is still doing some of the same stuff he was before. Not as strong as he was, but just like an A tier character that can still play the game, but just not like he used to. Now Omniman, I like the way that Omniman plays in this game. Just sort of ignorant, right? Has really good buttons and can sort of just rush you down. His armored move is probably the best in the game over Johnny now, after they nerfed Johnny's. But yeah, it's really potent what Omniman is able to do. Just negate any sort of zoning game with his stance, and then has really decent mix with Sonya. With Kung Lao, he's still able to do the same stuff. Keep his string safe, and with Movado in particular, you can do crazy things with Omniman, where you can just sort of play extremely ignorant, finish your strings into Movado, and those strings are safe, right? Some have gaps, but Omniman can play an extremely ignorant, aggressive game, strike throw game, and with Movado, it's extremely potent. With Sonya, he's able to play a counter zoning game that it's hard to play against. So yeah, for that reason, I think Omniman's like up here. I think Omniman, he's definitely going an A tier for me. Finally, Homelander. I think Homelander is one of the best characters in Mortal Kombat 1 right now. With Farah, you are able to do your sort of flight stuff, or end your flight combos into Farah, and then get safe mix situation. You still throw low Farah from full screen. Homelander and Farah is really, really good. Homelander Chameleon is really, really good. Homelander and Darius is really, really good. Homelander and Janet, he's able to that command grab, that command throw that he has, comboing into Farah, is insane for the sort of scale damage. It doesn't really scale, right? So that on it in itself is just ridiculous. On top of that, he can armor. He do his armor move, and then while he's in the air coming down, you can call Farah and make that safe for Homelander, mind you. So that is, just ridiculous. You guys can play around with that if you want, but yeah, Homelander is just was one of the strongest characters at Evo with the mixed situations he was introducing, and hasn't really changed much from that, right? He still has the command grab for high damage, still has those reset situations where he sort of cracks your neck and then floats down, has the mix off of that. Overhead low situations, his normals are extremely potent, and if you throw a normal on and he's in the air while you're throwing a normal, he can just dive down and hit you for extremely high damage. So yeah, Homelander I think is probably up there in the top 2 situation for Mortal Kombat 1. Let's take a look at the list before we move into cameos. Homelander, Tanya, Johnny Cage, Sindel, Kung Lao. Is Kung Lao in the top 5? Is Kung Lao in my top 5 or Scorpion in my top 5? That's really tough. That is really tough. Scorpion and Farah is extremely strong, but Kung Lao, I think, would smoke that team. So yeah, I think Kung Lao is in my top 5. I think that's gonna be my top 5. We got Homelander, Tanya, Johnny Cage, Sindel, and Kung Lao. Those are gonna be my top 5 for MK1. Then we have Scorpion, of course, which a lot of people know about. Nitara coming into the meta. Let's see. Do we think Rain's better than Nitara at the moment? You can Nitara's got some matchups that kind of suck. That aren't as great, but she with Farah, it's still just as strong. Now up close, now that it's -10 on block, like right up next to them, you're not going to be safe in those situations like you used to be before the patch that dropped today. And Rain might be a little bit more consistent in that situation. Same with Scorpion, but Scorpion still has that convertibility factor that Nitara doesn't have as much. She can do that, so we'll leave them. That's sort of interchangeable, right? I think Rain is still like, in the top 10. Kitana, Mileena, Ashrah, Kenshi, and Ermac. Do I think Kenshi is better than these characters? With Striker and Movado, potentially. Ermac. Let's put Ashrah, Kitana, Ermac over Mileena. Or Mileena over Ermac, right? Kitana over Ashrah, I would say yes. If they're playing really strong, yes. Homelander, Tanya. Okay, so yeah, that's gonna be the S tier for me. Do we want to put Ermac down? No, I think that's where he belongs. Reiko, yep. All these characters I think can deal with Reiko. But still one of the strongest characters, Baraka. I think Baraka might be better than Reiko. So we'll put Reiko down. Li Mei is worse than Omniman. Reiko, Omniman. I don't know. That might be interchangeable. General Shao and Li Mei. There. Lui Kang. Lui Kang. Yep. Sub-Zero. We're just moving Li Mei down, aren't we? Also, yes, Takeda cannot combo off of that the meter burn low, so it might be like top of B tier for Takeda. or it's not a meter burn low. It's still a mid for the meter burn kunai. So I'm still gonna put him in B tier. They just increased the window on the armor a little bit, which is okay, you know. Um, do I think Smoke is better than these characters? I think Smoke and Sub-Zero are like similar in terms of where they stand in the meta. Reptile is definitely not as weak as these characters. Definitely stronger than Lee May in the normals department. Really high damage from Reptile too. Geras. All of these characters can, you know, win a tournament if the player is playing, you know, insane. All right, yeah, I think that looks right to me. Okay, moving on. We're gonna talk about the cameos. We'll just leave them in the order they're in right here. Starting with Cyrax. Cyrax. Is still really good. You still have Upcopter, which combos off of some characters' strings. You now have the Sento Bomb that you can move around and blow up even like on hit, which a lot of players aren't really, you know, playing around with. But you can do that. And you have sort of loopable situations. You can put people in the corner with some of the, you know, high, top tier characters. You just can't use him across the board for everybody, and so for that reason, I would put Cyrax in A. But a very good cameo nonetheless, and the buffs were extremely helpful to Cyrax. Darius, he's got the low now, so and he was already a good cameo. Useful with a lot of the top tiers. Just, you know, just from my experience playing sub, it's been really cool to see you know, the low mix up come into play. And the animation when you just sort of let it go is just really cool. But yeah, I'm gonna put Darius in A as well. I think Darius, you know, plays well with a lot of the cast. And introduces mixed situations that they might not be ready for. You got pressure full screen, makes them want to, you know, move forward, and you can use that to your advantage with Darius. So, yeah, I think Darius is A tier cameo. Frost, they just buffed her Snowflake. They buffed Frost's orb, so you can recover faster from it. Have yet to see how that's going to affect some setups with characters. That could potentially put Frost in S if it's dangerous enough. But for now, we're going to put Frost like I would say Frost is like definitely an A tier cameo. The wall didn't really do much, but Frost was still strong with Orb, right? Orb in some characters were was really potent. But now that it's been buffed, like I almost want to put her like at the top of A just because like my like increasing the recovery for characters with Frost Orb on screen is just it's so strong. And now she's got wall. It's hard to say. I'm gonna just put her like right here for now. But that could change, you know, because this patch just came out today. We have to see what every character can do with that orb recovery now. So could be a little scary, you know. Hopefully not too potent. But yeah, Goro still does Goro things. You can enforce that full screen. You can call him full screen, cancel that into command throw, and then, you know, it's really good. You can do that into his punch walk too, which is really cool. You get more damage. It just uses the full bar. And the recharge rate on Goro is still kind of slow. But, you know, usable with a lot of the cast. Still one of the strongest cameos. It's just like it's a high, even though it does combo. So yeah, I don't know. I almost want to put Goro in S just because he's still like, once all these characters get nerfed, he's still going to be there. He's still going to be enforcing those same game plans we saw with Johnny. You know, with Smoke, with a lot of the cast. You can use Goro to your advantage. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Goro and Reptile, you know, come into the meta at some point. So yeah, I think Goro's still up there. Jack's A tier cameo for sure. You get high damage. You can set up the explosive, and now up close he has the plus on block sort of in the corner. He has the plus on block punch, right? Which is extremely strong. So A tier cameo in Jax. I'm gonna put him below Frost just in terms of potential right now, just because we've sort of seen that. But yeah, really strong cameo. Kano S tier, works with every character in the game and is just, you know, can combo off the knives. The knives, you know, guarantee you got a jump in. You can hold Kano ball and enforce any situation you want. So extremely flexible cameo. You also have eye laser. Yeah, Kano's just going to be, is always going to be in the meta no matter what. It's just sort of like the pinnacle of like what an ambush cameo, you know, allows in MK1. Is just the prime example of that. So Kung Lao is really good. The recharge rate on a full charge is slower. Full charge low hat, you know, that's going to recharge slower. So you got to let it go before the timer is all the way drained if you want the cooldown to be strong. Still has teleport, still has the launch, you know, for smoke off 1-1, right? You can still do those things. Just isn't plus on block with low hat now, and you can't jump onto the Lao hat now. So, you know, you're not seeing Lao as much as you would say Sonya. Every character, it's a low projectile. Who am I kidding? He's S. He's gonna go. He's gonna be an S. You know, say Ermac uses not Reptile, Kung Lao. Ermac and Kung Lao is still like one of those teams that is you know, underutilized, I would say. So fast cooldown, really good projectile. Has a lot of utility off you know, certain throw combos. So yeah, it's just usable with a lot of the casts, and is always gonna be strong. Motaro is S tier, very, very strong right now. I think Motaro, with that far teleport they just gave him in the most recent patch, can play zoning games like with Quan Chi. It's crazy. It's crazy what you can do off of Motaro. You know, any hit into Bone Cage, you teleport Motaro, and you get a combo, or you do stand 4 into Motaro, and you know that there you go. You know, so Motaro just really, really, really strong. And with Lui Kang, you get that zoning game. You throw your projectile, you can be right next to him, or you can teleport full screen and just keep your projectile game going with your sort of low to the ground air projectiles and just chip them out. So really strong strategies coming out with Motaro. Geras, right? You know, a lot of players, you just got to use that far teleport. You know, you got to play that lame game with Motaro now that he has that. So really strong. Serena, always going to be a strong cameo. You know, is definitely just one you have to keep in mind. She can throw that projectile. She can get high damage off the double psi, and you know, she can drain your meter if they land a hit. Just overall, really solid cameo to use to make, you know, some of your strings safe. They have to poke, right? So that's really it with Serena. You could also do, if you have 2 bars, maybe I'll put Serena in A, because now that you have the option to armor through, with the you can do down 2 unbreakable combos with 4 hits of armor that I almost forgot to mention. And Serena has that gap in between her double psi now, to where you can, if you have 2 bars, you're gonna get an unbreakable combo with any character in the game, and that's just really, really bad for Serena. So she might get taken down. Actually, she might get taken down to like here. Still extremely strong if she lands the hit, but that's just really bad for her. That's really bad for her. Okay, Scorpion. A tier. A tier. Yeah, you get really high combo conversions with Scorpion. You have the safe overhead too, but if they up block it, you know, GG. And he has the spear to pull them away. He also has that new like sort of flame move they gave him that that does like damage over time that not a lot of people are using. So yeah, he's got good utility. He's good with some characters in the game for high damage, and is a very, very strong cameo to use. Sector Sector. Sector. I think Sector is S. I think Sector with a double missile, with a lot of characters in the game now, you can call Sector before you do a throw and then land a combo off double missile with the throw. You just have to spend the whole cameo bar to do it, but that in itself just makes strike throw games for a lot of characters really strong. On top of that, you have a missile on the screen that's just it's extremely potent no matter what, right? You play against Sector cameo, it's extremely frustrating sometimes, right? When they can just take their turn after missile comes down. It's just the cooldown isn't as strong as like some of the, say Nitara or Kung Lao or Sonya, but for what it does for you, you're able. It's an ambush move, so you can do that mid combo with say smoke, just like you could with Cyrax and smoke. You can do it with Sector and smoke, and land really high damage conversions that you wouldn't be able to otherwise. Now that missile pops up higher mid combo, so Sector I think got a lot of good utility changes. Also on block, if you use flamethrower, you don't have to go through with that second hit of the flamethrower. You can sort of you can make him stop that second one from coming out and then block an armor move if it's incoming. So that's extremely strong. And Sector, is got really good quality of life changes this patch that I think a lot of players should be exploring. Shujinko is A tier. Yeah. It depends what they're using and what cameo they're using, because now you can steal their cameo moves, which is insane. If you're playing against a Reiko and they beat you, go swap to Shujinko and you get a command grab. You get like a tick throw off pretty much anything, and Reiko's not going to be ready for that, So yeah, Shujinko, like anything you do with Shujinko is dependent on who they're playing, but depending, like if it's a matchup where Shujinko, like say Quan Chi or any character in the game, like he's got something for him, and just it really is matchup dependent. But some of those matchups is extremely potent, extremely potent. So I'm gonna put him in A tier. Sonya is S. Sonya is one of the best cameos in the game currently. Like I've been playing Sonya since day one, even when that ring was a high, and her leg grab wasn't an overhead, just because the cooldown on that projectile was good and Square Wave was able to armor off slide. But now that she's got a mid projectile with probably the fastest cooldown for a cameo in the game, even though it is a summon, that's extremely strong. Square Wave still doing what it's been doing since day one, maybe a little less cooldown than it used to have. And now the leg grab is a safe overhead, mind you, which you can up block, but it's insane what Sonya is giving you. And again, you can use her with every single character on the cast here. It's maybe exceptions to you can use her with Nitara too. Yeah, you can use her with Rain to do your cancel combos into ring, and that it converts, right? Really good with Kitana, really good with every single character in the game. It allows for that strong harassment game, and it's just an S tier cameo all around. Just like Kano, just a little bit stronger than Kano in my opinion. So yeah, Sonya really strong. Striker, not good. No, Striker. Yeah, they did buff the cuffs, so it's got some pushback on it. But that's the cooldown, right? The cooldown. When we're talking about a cameo game, it's really the cooldown, and the grenades are the strongest move. You're using Striker with Kenshi, sure, right? But Striker with anybody else, why would you pick Striker over another cameo? At this point, like you just got the overhead and low baton, and then you got the cuffs, which you're not really gonna use. Like that restand option, why would you have so many other options when you have coverage on armor from other cameos? You know what I'm saying? Like you don't really need to. The restand isn't as strong as an option in MK1 when you have coverage from an assist. It's sort of similar in that aspect. So yeah, I think they need to maybe think about what they want to do with cuffs, what they want to do with the cooldown on grenades, what properties they want to give grenades, if they want to make it highs instead of mids, or maybe make the first grenade a mid and then the second one a high or something. That maybe just think about what you want to do with Striker, NetherRealm, and that's all I have to say. Sub-Zero is S tier. Sub-Zero is an S tier cameo. can negate a lot of game plans still. I like there's and he's getting a new move. We saw in the Cyrax trailer recently. He's getting a new move, so you know, that's all good and well. Really excited to see how that turns out. But yeah, Cyrax or not Cyrax, Sub-Zero Cameo still able to negate any sort of zoning option in the game if you're using it on defense, and they do a coverage option that isn't a physical mid, and it's some kind of projectile. You can challenge that and take your turn, which is just strong. So if you're playing Sub-Zero Cameo at the highest level, he's still gonna be an S tier Cameo, like regardless. Yeah, that's how. Yeah, that's just how I feel about Sub-Zero at the moment. Tremor. All right, Tremor just got some pretty big buffs. I don't know where to put him because I haven't really played around with it. But they did increase they increased the recovery on a lot of his moves, like Rolling Rock and like Crystalline. Like a lot of that stuff got better recovery, so he's recovering faster now, which is one of Tremor's weaknesses. So you got Reiko Tremor, right? It's already a meta pick, but might be even better now with that recovery change. I'm gonna go ahead and put him like up here, you know, with in the Shujinko Serena tier of Ace. Scorpion, yeah, a little bit stronger probably now. Let's see. I would say that's right. Chameleon still is S tier. I don't think Chameleon is really going anywhere. She still provides the same stuff. You just can't be ignorant with Katana lift anymore to avoid any sort of hit. So you can't just do like slide into Katana, because that's not like I really despised, you know, the Sub-Zero players that were doing that. I'm not gonna lie. It's just that was so ignorant. It was like you know, it was like MK11 breakaway. You know, they get punished for trying to punish, and that just shouldn't have existed in the first place. So I'm glad that's gone, but she's still really strong. She still provides those mixed options that she's known for. She still has Jade Glaive and the counter zoning with Jade Glow. So she's still really strong in all of those aspects, but just yeah, the Katana fan lift not as strong. Her cooldown still really strong. Even though some of it got nerfed, but she's still S tier. She's still an S tier Cameo, just not as strong as she used to be. Where am I gonna put her? Probably over Goro, under sub. Yeah, I'd put her like right there. Now that Katana's been nerfed, it was a significant nerf, mind you. You know, and if you don't let Chameleon close with Mileena, then it can be hard. Do I want to put her over Kano? I mean, probably. I think Kano's still like strong. Janet Cage, one of the best cameos in the game. We all know what she can do. She provides like throw combos for a lot of the cast. She has high damage routes with her punches, her punch extenders, and she's got the Janet stance, which are just some of her. She does have the Janet wall, but you're not really using that often. So when you do get stance up and you know how to use stance with some characters, extremely strong, extremely strong. I don't think I really need to say much else. She gives you high damage. She gives throw combos, and just the really strong strike throw game for a lot of the cast, Scorpion included. So yeah, I think Janet is definitely top 3 cameo. Mavado, I would say is. He works with a lot of the cast. They just have to be airborne. You have to get the hits. And some characters can do that better than others. Where am I going to put Mavado? I think Mavado is probably like top of A tier, just because of the damage he provides and the conversions he can provide for you. Just a lot of utility with Mavado. You can just option select Mavado. You can mash that as you're finishing your string, and then keep your stuff safe and then just block. So just really strong cameo overall. So he's gonna go like at the top of A tier for me, right around where like Cyrax and maybe Frost would be. Frost could go up though. The Frost is definitely like a question mark. And then we got Pharah, who is probably the best cameo in the game. She did just get the nerf to the low, so it's not safe anymore. But you're still hitting for that damage. That damage isn't gone. She's still going to be prevalent in the meta. She's got a command grab off that. She's got the safe overhead from the air. So that really hasn't changed. She's still going to be just as potent as ever with characters like Tanya, like Homelander, like Johnny Cage. It's extremely strong. Like Mileena can use Farah and Nitara, right? It's still gonna be one of the menaces that we just have to roll with until year 2. That's gonna be my MK1 final tier list for year 1. We made it. We made it to the end, and I think I'm happy with the placements here overall. The B tier, we're looking at it. Havik is the big bad of next year, so maybe Havik will get like a complete revamp. Like maybe Havik's gonna get some boss moves added to him from that story expansion. Who knows? Aside from that, we all know these characters could use a little love, and yeah, overall, I think it's in a good place. We've had a lot of meta shifts, a lot of good balance changes from that chameleon meta that was so potent before. And overall, I'm really looking forward to these characters down here coming to year 2. I'm gonna do a little prediction here where I think they're gonna go. Cyrax, based on what we've seen, she's got a command grab into bomb setup. She's got the net. That pushes them right into the corner so you can set up your bomb stuff. And then she's got that, like, she can do an overhead. If you're watching the trailer, she's got an overhead, but she can fake that overhead out into a low. And with some cameo coverage, maybe Scorpion or something, you get some interesting stuff there. So yeah, I think Cyrax is looking real strong, guys. I think Cyrax might be one of those characters up there. Sector, haven't seen much, but just based on how ferocious she's looking, she might also be like they might be like right next to each other. The sisters, the cyber sisters, they might be right next to each other, just like that. Noob Cybot, they know everybody's gonna play him, so they're gonna make him like a B tier character. They're gonna make Noob they're gonna give him like some sort of shenanigan setup that isn't real. It's going to be just like Sub-Zero, where they're going to give him it's going to be 25 frames instead of like 24. And then they're going to give him that like low, like into the punch that doesn't go for anything. So yeah, they might just make, because he's like so cool and everybody's like looking at Noob, it might just be like B tier, Okay. Conan. I think somebody at NetherRealm really wanted Conan in the game. That's my personal opinion, because a lot of younger audiences just don't resonate with this character, and just isn't in pop culture currently. So I'm not really sure where this one came from, especially when Kotal is a character. That's just my my input. But they're gonna make this character S tier. They're gonna make him like Kotal. They're gonna give him everything from MK11, MKX. They're gonna make Conan summon totems actually, and they're gonna have, it's not gonna be the sun, it's gonna be the moon, and you're gonna see Conan's like glorious sword, and he's gonna do the Arnold scream. It's gonna be insane. Ghostface, yeah. I think Ghostface is gonna be A tier, like a humble A tier. It's gonna be one of those characters that like has some sauce, but like just just doesn't reach that S tier potential because of like stubby normals or something. Like he's just gonna be like jabbing, and then the other Ghostface is gonna come out, be like, "What's up, bro?" And he's gonna be like, "Yo," and then gets hit in the face, But then comes back with the vengeance. So he might be, might still be A tier, just because of that. T1000. I'm thinking T1000 might be like top 5. Like T1000, just from like the way he approaches in Terminator 2, like he's just scary, man. This dude is like unrelenting. He's gonna have some Johnny Cage like pressure, He's gonna have those normals, so they might be like right next to each other. And if you pair T1000 with Stryker, it might actually they might like combine and do something new that like we haven't seen before, because they're both cops. So they might like handshake and do something crazy, Yeah, guys, that's gonna be my MK1 tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed. Here's to year 2. Hopefully the expansion is sick. Hopefully we get the missing features added, online practice, all that, rooms. Who knows what they're gonna add? But yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.